All right, it's Chatty work with me time. I'm setting my timer for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get some pictures taken. All right, so it's been a couple months since I've done Chatty work with me, and honestly, life's just been busy, and here we are. I've got some fun topics. The first topic being around why I haven't been to the Goodwill bins in 6 months. Am I planning to go back? What are my thoughts on the Goodwill bins right now? Because things have changed for a lot for me this year, and the Goodwill bins it's evolving for me. And then there's some other topics talking about the disaster with Poshmark promoted listings, the eBay shipping changes, summer slowdown, why summer slowdown might be bad for me and maybe not you, or vice versa. So those are going to be my main topics. Maybe I'll throw in a couple others at the end as well. But I just steamed up some items and I threw them over here. So I'm going to shift them back, or shift a couple of them back so my light isn't too weighted down. But okay, so the first thing that I will talk about is the bins. I love the bins. I've loved the bins I've been going there pretty religiously for 5 years, almost 5 years. Because I think it took me a couple months of being a reseller before I had the courage to go to the bins. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. But I still like the bins. I would probably be there more often if it wasn't just such a whole journey for me. Going thrifting in general is a journey, but the bins, I feel like my main issue is if I go to the bins right now and I just stop in there for 2 to 3 hours, I will find a lot of bread and butter. And that bread and butter is not terrible. I've sold so much bread and butter in my life, and I like bread and butter, and I would still sell a lot of bread and butter, those items that, are in the $20 to $25 price point. I would still sell a lot of it if I were trying to scale my reselling business, but I have drastically changed my reselling business this year. And, I don't want a whole bunch of volume of bread and butter with a few pops, which is essentially what my bins days can look like. So if I go spend, 2 hours, let's say, maybe I drive down to LA, I want to stop by the bins for 2 hours, and then I want to go to a couple of my favorite thrift stores, and I also want to grab dinner. And so it takes me 2.5 hours to get there. I spend a couple hours at the bins, and then I go around to different parts. And by the time I need to leave at like 7, then I've got to drive home the 2.5, 3 hours. Anyways, long story short, in that 2 hours, I don't feel like most of the time I can find too much of what I want to pick up. And I feel like part of the fun of the bins is going and like getting a whole bunch of stuff. And I used to do that. I used to want that. But these days I would rather go down to LA and get 10 items that all will sell $50 or more and come home with those 10 items and list less that week than going to the bins all day and bringing home 60 items, most of those being around the $20 price point. I always have gotten some decent stuff at the bins, and those good bins days are incredible, but it's not a guarantee. And I think that what I've learned with myself, now that I am just realizing this, do I have that little phone? I do not have that little phone. My life just got very challenging right now. Oh, geez. So I was not prepared. I don't have my other little phone charged. It's probably downstairs in a drawer. There's my charger for it right there. So I know it's dead because I haven't used it in a couple months. And I can't take photos because I'm filming with my phone, my regular phone. So we're going to switch to steaming because photos can wait until I'm done filming. So where was I at? Goodwill bins. So I still like the culture and the experience of going, and I am looking forward to going again. But I think with this year, when I stopped going, I think the last time I went to the bins was in late February. I think the last Goodwill bins haul I had was in March, and I got a puppy at the beginning of April. And then he got sick, and it's been somewhat of a nightmare. But even if he wasn't sick, my dog sitter doesn't deal with puppies. Like, she has a couple dogs of her own. Luna can go over there. Luna knows that they're Luna's potty trained, a puppy's not. And also like managing 2 dogs at once. She can come do drop-in visits at my house, but I have not had both of them stay at her house yet. And I almost recently reached out to her to ask her if maybe we could try it. But then there was a little incident, and I, at this point, just feel terrible. We're gonna steam some stuff, take some stuff off these hangers that I don't feel like photographing, because I do have some new stuff that I want to photograph from a recent haul. So that's what we're gonna do. So basically, she came over to do a drop-in visit for Luna and Soren, and I had a Terminex guy here earlier in the morning, and I had to go. I don't remember where I was going. I was going out of town, probably LA. And I had to leave. So the Terminex guy came, and he never closed my front gates. And so when my dog sitter came later that afternoon, because he was there in the morning, when she came and she closed the gates to let my dogs run free in my yard, she didn't realize that there were 2 baby deer that mom brought in during the day between Terminex guy and her. She didn't realize. And actually, she told me that the dogs were playing for like 20 minutes before they even discovered them. But essentially, this has happened to me when I was walking Luna one time. This is kind of the season where there's a lot of babies, baby deer, baby elk, babies everywhere. And I was walking Luna one time, and I heard a woman screaming, and I have earbuds in, but I could hear her over the earbuds. And I look up, and she's got a big fenced-in yard. A lot of people here have multiple acres, so it can be a big yard. And she's chasing these 5 little dogs. They are chasing a baby deer, and the deer can't jump out. So in a sense, what has happened, and I've learned this since being here, with the really young deer, the mom will just go put them somewhere, like leave them somewhere, sometimes up to like 12 hours. And the mom will go get some food, and they maybe put them in some brush or something like that, just where they think that they're safe. And the mom will go and get food and come back. And some people make the mistake thinking the deer are abandoned. They're not. Like, this is just nature. This is what happens. Well, the dogs discovered these 2 baby deer, and it wasn't like some crazy attack or anything like that. It was playfulness. It was it's an intruder. So there's the wanting to chase something, just like those little dogs did. Oh, that's what it was. So I tied up Luna when I saw my neighbor struggling to help her get this baby deer out. And we did, but it was a very, very stressful thing to have a whole bunch of yappy dogs and my dog tied up going like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And dogs have that sense to chase, Anyway, so I know how stressful that is. Basically, my dogs discovered there were the two baby deer. Luna wanted to play with one of them. And one of my neighbors who came over to help my dog sitter, because I wasn't here, and he heard screaming, so he knew there was something wrong, because she's chasing my 2 dogs and the baby deer, trying to like save the deer. And my neighbor did say that like there was no blood. There was not. He genuinely thinks it was the deer was scared to death, literally. And yeah, so. Anyways, she went through that, and one of the deer didn't make it. The other one she saved, and my neighbor and her both got it over the fence. And it was just a really traumatic thing to hear about. I bought her flowers. I paid her double for that day. I'm like, I don't have an easy time finding people to watch Luna because she can't go to doggy daycare anymore. She was kicked out and for biting a dog, not a person. She's never been bad with people. She's not a huge fan of kids. I won't let her near kids, but she's never had an attack on a person. But she is questionable at best with new critters. So anyways, that was like a month ago, and I've seen my dog sitter a couple times. She's fine. She fell a couple times trying to get the deer and get the dog away, and she scraped up her legs. So I just haven't wanted to ask her, hey, can my dogs come stay at your house? But she's told me many times, like, I want to see them again. How are the babies? Like, she likes my dogs. It was just, I needed to give her a break. So that is what happened. But hopefully, because I do want to go camping at some point in a few weeks with a friend, and my 2 dogs, and they also have a dog. That would just be too much. So it might be something where I leave the dogs and go camping without them, which I don't even know how I'm going to camp with 2 dogs, to be honest. I haven't dealt with that yet either. So I might ask her to watch them for a couple days, which again, I think she will be fine with it, but moral of the story, I need to figure that out because I need to be able to leave my dogs at some point. And, you know, he's pretty much potty trained and fine now. Just, yeah. All right. So that's why I will go back to the bins. Maybe hopefully in the next month I can finagle it and I'll be excited to go. But I definitely am not excited to go and get a whole cart full because that's not my jam anymore. But things change. Also, this air conditioner, life with air conditioning in the summer is just heaven. All right, so next up, terrible sales, summer slowdown. So I don't know about you guys, but I have some friends on the IG, the Instagram, that they have been posting some things this summer to say, don't believe other people when they talk about summer slowdown. My sales are great. Summer's my best time in sales. And then you see the polar opposite of like sales have tanked. Is it one because of one of these many reasons of platform changes on Poshmark and eBay, which I'll talk about in a second? Is it because of live selling? Is it because of, you know, their stuff like not being desirable? All of this stuff, all of this talk. And all I'm here to say is there are reasons why some people might not have slow summers and some people might have slow summers. And I am one who has slow summers, and I have since the beginning. Last year, I went hard and I was like, okay, I'm gonna beat you summer slowdown and I'm gonna list like a mad woman and I am going to not have a slowdown in sales. And I still had a slowdown in sales. And then I ended up ending summer with 1,700 active listings, which I did not want because I wasn't selling all this extra stuff I was listing. So for me, and I'm not gonna speak about other people and like, why other people might have summer slowdown. But I think that yes, some of the slowdown this year could be due to some platform changes, but I've had a slow summer every year. And you know, some of these things weren't around a few years ago. So I think for me personally, my slow summer primarily has to do with what I source. So I don't do a lot of shoes. I don't do handbags, almost never. Can I find a handbag I want?
Motion detected at the front.
It's a dog. Thank you, Alexa. So I personally don't have a lot of items for sale because the clothing I buy tends to be focused on fall, winter, spring. Even at the bins these days, it's going to take a lot. It's going to be like a really amazing tank top for me to buy a tank top. I just am not buying a lot of summery clothing, women's clothing, and I'm not doing a lot of accessories, shoes, bags, hard goods, things that maybe don't have a season to them. I don't buy that stuff for the most part. I mean, I would like to buy some more handbags at times, but I just don't find any. Or they're really marked up, you know, like a decent handbag, that thrift store knows it, and then it's, you know, it's marked up. So I think that that is part of it for me. I also think that even if I did have a lot of tanks, I don't know about you guys, but I don't shop as much for summer. Like buy a couple cute new dresses type of thing and call it a day. But I think schedule. So a lot of the people probably shopping my store are going to potentially have a change in life during the summer. And I think that, you know, with that change comes maybe more going to Target and more going on vacations and buying some cute stuff those ways instead of sitting on a computer when it's too cold out and doing a lot of online shopping. I personally think I do less online shopping for me because I just feel like I'm outside more, out of my house more during summer. And so, you know, I do think that is a factor. But yeah, so do I think that some people have great sales in summer? I mean, I would assume if they're sharing their numbers, you know, it might be a great time for them. Maybe they are living in an area where all they do is source summertime stuff and high dollar summertime stuff. That, you know, like I think of Florida. Florida, like basically is just kind of summer year round. LA is summer a lot of the year, but it has, I think, more colder days than Florida, I would assume. I'm not like a weather person, but you know, I think there are just areas that they attract just more summer lifestyle. And so maybe someone in Florida is just able to pick up more things that are higher value that would sell in the summer, and then their sales might be better, if that makes sense. But that's not me. And even if I just personally don't like summer clothing. I don't like summer anything. So it's just not where I'm drawn to, but a lot of people are. And so maybe they are drawn to picking it up more often as well. But all right. Before we get into any more, I did just want to mention the sponsor of today's video, which is my absolute favorite, Earth Breeze. All right, I'm multitasking. I'm doing my steaming and laundry at the same time. And you guys know I absolutely love Earth Breeze for so many reasons. This is my laundry detergent. And it's awesome because I used to have those big jugs that were terrible. Now, this is what I use to throw into my loads of laundry. It is so convenient. This is my last one in this package, but I already, don't worry, have 2 more refills because, you know, we do a lot of laundry. But this is so easy. It breaks down in cold or hot water. It just dissolves in the laundry super fast. And the storing of this is so much better than those big jugs. It just fits in a little corner of my cabinet space, which is great because I don't have a big laundry area. I also love the fact that it's fragrance free. They do have another option that has fragrance, but because as a reseller, I feel like I don't want to ship out anything with additional fragrance because some people are sensitive to it. So I love the fact that there is a fragrance free option, and that's the one I always get. But it's just super easy and convenient. So let me tell you a little bit more about it. So Earth Breeze is delivered right to my door in plastic-free packaging. So here you can see me just tearing the packaging because it's just made out of paper. They also have a flexible subscription that can be self-managed, so you can adjust, pause, or cancel anytime without any hidden fees. So sometimes I get it every month, but sometimes I change to every other month. It just depends on how much laundry I'm doing for reselling. They also have 100% satisfaction guaranteed or your money back, which I just think is really great if you want to try something new. And most importantly, Earth Breeze is tough on stains and removes odor so you can get a powerful clean every time. So when you're ready to try Earth Breeze, you can go to earthbreeze.com/COMMONTAGS to get started with 40% off. That's earthbreeze.com/COMMONTAGS for 40% off your subscription. All right, back to the Chatty work with me. Let's see. Next up, promoted Poshmark disaster. Disaster. Okay, so my last Chatty work with me, which was a couple months ago, I talked about the promoted Poshmark option. I disclosed in that video, I am not doing the beta trial. I have not looked at the details. I have not listened to anyone talk about it, but I do think Poshmark should offer some promoted options. And I said, if it were like eBay, where I could pay a flat percentage if the item sells and they used my promoted link to click on it to find it, I would be down. I would be thrilled. I'd be happy. That's what I do on eBay. 5% promoted on all my listings, but I only pay that if it sells from a promoted listing. I did that video, and then shortly after, I did get some people saying in the comments, which I appreciate, saying, no, this is a pay-per-click thing. It's not great. I am not on board with pay-per-click. There is a pay-per-click option on eBay, and I've never tried it because honestly, I'm personally I'm never going to be the person that's like excited to try the new thing. But it's not that I think it's bad for Poshmark to have that option if someone wants to try it. But that is not an option that I think a lot of us want. And here's one thing that I heard. I was scrolling. I don't remember who said it. I don't remember. It was probably Instagram because I don't watch reseller content on YouTube anymore. But I think it was a really valid point of talking about that Poshmark is different than, let's say, eBay, because they have this whole social thing where they push people to do all of this social stuff. And that's their prerogative. We all know how I feel about it. I don't participate in it. And, But other people being encouraged to go share some items from other people's closets, what that does is that means people are going and clicking on links to go share it, clicking on other people's listings to go share those listings to their friends and family. And that click, if that item is promoted on Poshmark, that click is now just a useless, you're paying for someone to share your item. That seems bonkers. Thank you. That seems bonkers to me. So like if they weren't encouraging so much of this social click activity, sharing to parties, sharing other people's stuff, clicking and leaving love notes and all of this stuff. That's more the social stuff, that it's not the person's not interested in your item, but then they're going to click on it for some social reason because Poshmark's encouraging it. And then that person's now going to have to pay for your click. To me, it was a really valid point. So basically pay per click means that it doesn't matter if your item sells, you're paying for X amount of clicks on that item. And maybe if you have some amazingly awesome item and that payment won't eat into your cost too much, maybe then it would be sufficient. But if you have some amazing item that's going to sell for a lot, it's probably going to sell for a lot because it's rare and you don't need any help marketing it. You don't need to promote it because people are going to find it because there's no competition of that item. So I think it was not the right way to go about it for Poshmark. But I do also think that maybe they could change course and maybe they could take the feedback and look at the numbers and go, oh, yeah, this isn't working out great for our community. Maybe we should pivot and change it and try something else. But I do think they should try promoted, and people can opt into it if they want. And I never opted into this, and I'm not going to opt into it unless it's something that I think it makes sense for my business. And something that makes sense for my business is a number that I have a choice of making. Like eBay, I choose, and I've done different price points, but I choose to do 5% promoted on my listings. And that way, if it sells through a promoted listing, I'm paying an extra 5%. eBay's fees are less than Poshmark anyway, so it kind of all evens out. But I do think the disaster there has been, come on, Poshmark, really? Like, why did you think that would be the way to go? And I wonder if it's a developer thing. Like, I wonder if the reason why they decided to go this route is because their system can't. Like, for example, we still can't do partial refunds. So let's say you send out a bundle and one item is flawed. On eBay, whoops, I just tapped. On eBay, you can just do a partial refund. You can say, I am so sorry, you bought these 2 items, whatever. Or like maybe it's damaged and they want to keep it, but it's like just a small stain, they got it out, but for the inconvenience, you want to, refund them $10. You can't do that on Poshmark. And I don't know why. Does their system just not allow it? Is that too much developer time that would be required to build that into their code? I don't know. But to me, if I had to guess, they went the easy route. What is easy for us to offer a promoted option, not what is the best promoted option for our community? If I had to guess, but it's speculation and I don't know. But try again, Poshmark, please, because that was just not a great option. So, all right. What else is on the list? eBay shipping changes. Okay, so I am going to be fully transparent. Today is August 11th. I have a lot of first-class items on eBay. And I know eBay told me July 9th that they were making the change from USPS first class to USPS ground advantage. And I know they told me to go in and edit my listings. And I know how to do it. Have I done it? 1 month later? No, still haven't done it. Have I sold some stuff that are listed under first class shipping? Yes. So I don't know why I have to go in and change. I know some people are saying they think that the change has directly negatively impacted their sales. I think my sales are terrible this summer because of me and my lack of listing. I removed a whole bunch of active listings, a couple months ago and worked really hard on doing that. So what did I do with I just had a hanger. So it's hard for me to say that something like that is negatively impacting my sales when I know a lot of the negative impact on my sales is due to some of my recent changes. But I don't know. I don't understand why I have to go in. I mean, it's on my list. I'm going to do it. I'm going to just go in. At least I can do it in a bulk way. But I haven't done it. If you are not clued in, basically USPS made a change to combine USPS ground, parcel ground, or parcel select. I can't remember what they called it, but combine that service and first class, and they're calling it ground advantage, which kind of makes sense because both are probably on the same trucks. And, you know, probably making a change like that, they know it's going to create confusion and scare people. And it's probably something they've been putting off for a long time, but they've wanted to do for a long time because it makes sense to me. If it's all going by ground, like why is it all not just one place? But I think one thing that I do like is that ground advantage is now not just for, like first class has to be under £1. And so if I had something that was over £1, I would almost always do priority, and still might do priority on some of that stuff. But now some of that stuff can go through this USPS ground advantage. So, and also I was doing some shipping and noticing that some of my shipping rates are lower that would have been higher with first class. So I know that they changed some things. It can get pretty complex. I try not to stress too much about it because on average, most of my first class items were selling, or the shipping cost for me was most of them like $450 to $650. And I think $699 was like the highest for me, like going farthest. And then now it's still pretty much the same for those same items. Like it's kind of between the $450 super light and close. I think like the cheapest first class shipping I've had recently is like right around the $4 mark. That's like if it's going to LA and it weighs less than 6 ounces type of thing. Like it's a silk scarf or something. But so I don't mind the change. I don't mind changes. I'm not one that's going to like jump and panic and, but I also am pretty slow to do what they tell us to do, which is, you know, is what it is. By the way, I'm ready to go to a real estate inspection in a little bit, and I just can't emphasize how not excited I am for it. I usually like home inspections, but this is a second one for these buyers, and the last inspection, they backed out of the transaction. And the inspector also, most inspectors take like 2 hours for this size home. He took a whole 4 hours, even left in the middle of the inspection because he wasn't feeling well and he needed to go. Anyways, it was just this whole debacle. So you're distracting me from what is coming my way here in a short while. Like I probably have to leave in 45 minutes. So thank you for keeping me company and distracted while I don't want to go do that. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense about the eBay shipping changes. Technically, we're supposed to go change our first class listings to the new ground advantage. I will get to it someday. But I have sold some first class items since the change. And so I'm not panicking, but all right, let's see. So kind of inspired by real estate, this topic, but also just talking to people who are dealing with slow sales and frustration. And some people, when I ask random questions, like, you know, how's everyone doing? Well, you know, random questions. I think I asked for some questions for Poshmark, which that was the last video of me talking about a Poshmark recap after 5 years, hitting 100,000 that I made on Poshmark. Maybe I'll try and do the little like link click here if you want to see that one, since that one didn't get a lot of clicks, so, which is fine. But I got questions for that video, and quite a few people asked, which I didn't talk about too much, but like how to increase sales when sales are bad, or, you know, basically people struggling with low sales right now. And it got me thinking that like one of the things I have spent my reselling journey doing is creating different revenue streams. And while you might love reselling in the beginning and you're like, I can't wait to do every bit of reselling, talk to yourself in a year. It is an easy thing to get burnt out on. At least it was for me. And I knew pretty early on in my reselling journey when I decided to leave my full-time job and take that leap and, oh gosh, what am I doing type of thing. I learned pretty early on I would not just want to do steaming and photos and listing and thrifting. Like that monotonous cycle would be devastating for my personality type. Some people, it might be the best thing ever. But I knew that I would need different revenue streams. And I mean, I've talked about this before. YouTube is really hard to get going, to get to a place where you're actually making decent money, where it's actually worth your time. So And I'm very thankful that I tried it, and it has been a revenue source for me. And it can happen for other people, but I think a lot of people give up because when they work really hard to get monetized and then they get their first monetization check from Google and it's like $10 and you just spent, 20 hours doing 6 videos that month and you got a check for $20. It's a lot of work to get to a place, if you ever do, where you can make some decent money. And so I think a lot of people put in all this work and then they feel defeated, and it is a hard, no guarantee. I will say there are other things. So I've talked to actually quite a few resellers who are also realtors. It's kind of a complementary thing. I think I've addressed this. It is a complementary job because both are pretty wishy-washy. Like, you're not going in at a specific time. Like, I could be sitting right here and someone could call me right now and say, I am 1 block from you. I want to see this house that's listed for $1 million. Here's my pre-approval. Can you drop everything that you're doing and come show it to me? And the response to that would always be yes. You're pre-approved. You want to buy $1 million house. I will drop everything I'm doing to go meet with you. And so I could stop everything that I'm doing in reselling at that moment, and I could go do that. But there's also a lot of dead time in real estate where you just don't have calls. And unless you're actively cold calling or door knocking or actively trying to pursue clients, then you're just kind of waiting for people to call, which is what I do because it's, of YouTube, people finding me there. But I also realize, after having talked virtually to some of these people who have been realtors and resellers at the same time, that many of them decided it wasn't for them for various reasons. I did just want to throw out this idea as a potential revenue stream for someone out there that maybe wants something besides reselling and maybe likes the idea of getting into the real estate industry, but doesn't like the salesy part, because it is a sales job. And if you aren't good at sales, and if you aren't confident in going out and talking to random people and meeting random people from the internet, and it is a sales job. And to be good at it, there's a sales component majorly. If you don't think that your personality is suited for that, or you learn it's not, one thing that is tremendously helpful for everyone in a real estate transaction is something called a transaction coordinator. So I thought I would talk about this because some people might not know that they exist, because they're kind of hidden in a real estate transaction somewhat. Like, you might see their name pop up and you kind of just think they're like an office person, but it is something you can do self-employed. You don't have to go work for someone. It is something that is more of if you like attention to detail, if you are someone that likes not dealing with people, likes just, here's your outline of what you need to do. You just follow these instructions. You get your work done on time, and you want to make some somewhat flexible money. A real estate transaction coordinator is an awesome thing for some people. Now, it's not for me. It's not for me because I am more the people sales side. I know that I like to be at home, and I talk about how I struggle sometimes with too much people time, but naturally all the jobs I've been successful with are all people, very people heavy, and just, that's just my strength, and I understand it and I utilize it. I also am not a detail-oriented person. Now, yes, I have to do some of the paperwork for my transactions, especially like the offer side of things. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. If I could just do none of the paperwork for real estate, I would be in heaven. And fortunately, I pay a transaction coordinator to do some of my paperwork, a lot of my paperwork. What are the dogs barking at? Probably a neighbor. So transaction coordinators, technically, not all of them are licensed, but your best bet is, if it were me and I wanted to get a side hustle that could be flexible with reselling and also flexible hours in general and pretty much no people time, you can go get your real estate license. And you can get your real estate license not because you want to be a realtor, but because you want to be a transaction coordinator. And your best bet is probably to find a transaction coordinator in your area and ask if you can learn from them and pay a certain percentage in the beginning so that you have a mentor and they're getting something for their time of helping you. But once you learn the gist of it, then you go off on your own and you do it that way. And it's not something scammy. It's that as a realtor, I pay a transaction coordinator to make sure all the paperwork during an escrow period is handled and that the timeline is all on point. Some transaction coordinators get a little too involved, and they can't do everything, but they can do a lot of the behind the scenes paperwork. And it is something that's pretty lucrative. I mean, so most of them in my area will charge $500 to be a transaction coordinator for a realtor. That's 30 days. I would say every state's going to be different. In California, there's some significant deadlines that need to occur. You would have to be able to...
Motion detected at the front.
Just the dogs. You would have to be really good with time management and understanding deadlines. And again, I think if you were able to, coordinate a way to have a mentor to understand the process for 6 months approximately. But basically, it would be really easy to go and email all the realtors in your area and say, hey, I'm a transaction coordinator. This is my rate. You can beat other people's rates by $50 just to get your foot in the door. I do think you have to have some experience of doing it. So, having someone that can help you through the process in the beginning. But it is something that is so complementary to reselling and really anything in life, because you can do stuff at midnight if you want to. You could do it at 5 a.m. if you want to. Like, it's a fairly flexible thing, and you could have 4 escrows a month. Just help with 4 people and their paperwork for a month, probably a total of 20 hours, and you could easily make two grand. Maybe not right from the get-go, but this dog, the puppy Luna does not bark very much unless it's like critical. She's not a barker, and he is, and I'll talk about them a little bit later at the end of this. So multiple revenue streams. The importance of multiple revenue streams for me as a self-employed person is so incredibly crucial because, I mean, if you take summer slowdown for me, and I don't know how I would pay my bills. And maybe you're not the breadwinner, or you're not an individual person paying all your bills, and it doesn't matter as much if you have a slow time. But maybe you just want some consistency with money. Maybe you are saving for a house. Maybe you are saving for vacations or a new car or paying off student loans or whatever it is. And having the uneasiness of having sales drop and not know if they're going to come back is really challenging. And I think that, by having other revenue streams that aren't related to reselling, it can really help you get through those tough times. So I am a huge advocate for it. I know some people don't like juggling a whole bunch of stuff, and I do think that my life can be a little chaotic at times because I am juggling 3, pretty significant things. Is that a stain? Oh, I was so excited to find this. I love this brand, but I might just exchange it because I don't know if you can see. Right here, do you see this little stain? Zarina. I love this brand. Oh, well. I don't know. Should I wash it? It's fairly minor. I think I can maybe do a stain treatment on that. We'll see. So I did just want to talk, leave some comments down below. If you're still at this point in this video, leave some comments down below of if you have multiple revenue streams, what are some other things? A lot of people think of YouTube as one. I don't think that's a great option because it takes so long to get to a place where you're actually making decent money. And so you're basically just doing a lot of work for free. But if you like doing it for fun, I think it can be a fun thing. There's all sorts of side hustle Instagram accounts that talk about things where you can go in and, fill out surveys and, all that kind of stuff. I've never explored any of that. There's a lot of Josh, I think he's still doing it. He helps people, I think on, some of the gig work sites like Upwork and stuff, write resumes and do all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things out there besides YouTube and, reselling. And I think that if your sales have been bad with reselling, maybe consider and try and go get another. Oh, this dog. What is his deal? It's because my neighbor's dogs, which are another fence away, so they're not right noses at the fence. They're outside right now. And they have 2 dogs about the same size as my dogs, and they're pretty adorable. But Soren just can't figure out that those are the neighbors. You don't need to talk to them every time you see them. They live there. They have a right to be there. I'm going to go get him after this is done. But For now, we're going to get through. All right. So anyways, I wanted to throw out the real estate transaction coordinator option because I think the transaction coordinators that I've worked with, they really thrive in that role. And I think it's a great role for people who don't want to deal with people, want some extra income, want it to be super flexible. Yes, you have to get a real estate license, but that's not a terrible thing to get just in general. All right. So the last thing I was going to talk about is my plans, my need to change things for storage, and I'm feeling anxious about it. So one of the reasons I wanted to decrease my inventory, which I haven't really talked about, is because my garden tractor, which is the drivable lawnmower, I don't know the difference between a garden tractor, a lawn tractor, or a lawnmower. Other than in our area, a lawnmower is the kind of push kind. A lawn tractor has some functions but it's drivable. And then a garden tractor has some functions and it's drivable. So I've got a garden tractor. It's drivable. It's not like the big yellow John Deere tractors that you see on big ag farms. They are small home drivable. Yeah. So that's what I'm referring to. Her name's Jolene. If you want to know. And she's a husky. She's a Husqvarna. So she is new. She a year old. And my old one had been attacked by rodents many times with chewing on wires, and it costs money when that happens. They also chew on my car wires and all of that. So I'm trying to protect her from having the same issues as the last one, which was a Craftsman. And everyone has told me, you need to put it in your tough shed. And they see my tough shed and they're like, it's the perfect size. You just need a ramp, you drive it in, it's stored safely. You won't have the rodents eating at your wires and costing you lots of repair money. So it's great, but that's where I store my inventory. So my goal this fall is to continue to weed out unnecessary inventory. Like if I could get down to like 800, that would be great. So like get rid of another 100 items. And then basically pull everything out of my tough shed and rework how my storage things are. I do have a one corner of some personal stuff or one side of a wall, but I've got the storage bins in rows. So there's a row over here, there's a row right here, there's a row right here, and then this side is empty and it's just got some personal stuff. But most of the storage shed is reseller storage space. Now I do have a closet over here that is in my guest room that I could potentially put some bins in there and utilize some of that. But basically I just want to really fine tune my inventory so that I'm able to put my bins all the way around the sides and be able to drive Jolene in and keep her stored in there during the winter when I don't need her so she doesn't get chewed up by rodents. It's just overwhelming because I just feel like inventory is, and this is maybe why I'm so passionate about decreasing my inventory. Inventory, if it's not done correctly, is just such a time suck. And some of this stuff was listed 4 years ago and it's like, I'm still spending time on you. Why are you still in my life? You should be gone. So I'm just feeling overwhelmed. I know I can figure it out and make it work. I'm thinking about getting an additional like lean on storage thing that can hold my personal stuff. So I can just take all my personal stuff out and just line the sides. And I kind of think I might be able to keep the same amount of bins in there if I do just that, like get just my personal stuff out and use that side and put it that way. The other thing I'm a little anxious about is like, okay, so what happens when I need to go in there and get stuff on the, every other day I ship and pull inventory? I've got this big garden tractor in there. So anyways, I'm gonna have to take measurements. I'm gonna have to try and figure something out because I have my closet, not big. I have a guest closet. Also, it's bigger than my closet actually, but it's my only storage in my house. I do not have hall closets. I do not have anything. I do not have any storage in my house except 2 closets, one in each room, and that's it. Oh, and a little bit of storage right by my laundry, but that's it. So I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how do I want to. I feel like I'm in this transitional period with my reselling journey anyways, so it's kind of the perfect time to just keep scaling back on the sheer amount of inventory, but at the same time, I'm still a reseller. I'm still going to have inventory. I'm still going to have a need for space for it. So that's where we're at. That is my update. I'm a couple minutes early. I actually got a lot steamed and I do severely need to catch up this weekend on listing because it's just been so hard. It's been a hard couple weeks for me juggling everything. And I'm just looking forward to maybe having a weekend of no real estate, some relaxation, some house projects, some house cleaning, and just doing some listings. But, fall's right around the corner. I want to get down to the bins, into some thrift stores. And is that a stain? Is that a hole? This was a new brand. And I don't know if that's a stain, but it kind of looks like it. So we'll see. So that's it. Let's go get the dogs inside and I'll update you on personal stuff. Okay, the puppy, I'll show him at the end. He's in his crate. He's probably going to start barking and you'll hear it in the background because he will hear me talking. I will start with that. I am glad this puppy is alive. He has a cute, sweet demeanor at times. But my biggest issue with this dog is his jumping and his barking. I just have realized that there are a lot of other people out in the world that are just patient. And I am just not the most patient. And I am trying every day. Because I get so frustrated with him, which I think part of it is like, I just don't have, Luna is still outside. I just don't have a break from him. Luna I had as a puppy and I could send her off to daycare. And so I got breaks from her and I need those so that I can still like them. And yeah, puppies are hard and pretty psychotic. And, I try my best. I try and take him on walks. I try to get him his energy out. They can play outside. They can run around. I don't get a break from him. And it's really hard. And I don't know any other way of saying, like, there is just everyday regret of life was so much easier with just one dog. And I know he will get easier. And I know every time I see them playing and having a good time, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that she has a little friend and that they play well together. It's just every other time. Like me trying to film for 45 minutes and leaving them outside so that I don't have to worry. And then he is howling nonstop at neighbors who are outside working in their yard. And they're like not close. These aren't close neighbors. And he just won't stop. So if you guys have any tips on how to deal with barking, unnecessary, ruthless, doesn't stop barking, I'm all ears. The jumping we've been working on, and part of his jumping is he gets really excited in the morning. I think that's also part of it. I'm not a cuddly person. He is a cuddly dog. We are not a good match because I don't have the time to sit there and just pet him. And that's what he wants 24/7. So that's why he jumps. He wants my attention. He wants to, he wants attention. And I don't have much time to give him attention. And this is not turning into a dog rant. I am so happy he's healthy. I am so happy Luna has a friend. And he is a cute boy that I'm sure will tone down someday. But right now, it's not that day. And I just don't have patience. I'm working on it, but it's hard. So sometimes I look at Luna and she knows when I'm like, you are going to bed, to Soren, you are going to bed. And she knows I'm upset. And she's like, ooh, boy. Like, I try not to compare dogs to children, but I also think it's comedic because there are just so many moments that these things happen where I'm like, oh yeah, I used to think that about my sisters, or they used to think that about me. And anyways, I'm very happy Luna has a friend. He will get better. If you have any tips, I leave them below. I would appreciate it. And I'll show them at the end. But right now, he's in his crate, taking a chill pill. Okay, so what other personal stuff? So real estate, I mean, I don't really like, part of the hard thing about on real estate updates is, I don't want to disclose too much personal information about people. Not that I don't think any of them have found me through here. So I'm not, but I have two escrows right now. And I have one guy that two people that have written offers and they have been outbid, but they're very actively looking. We also, the last few days, have had our system down, our internal, like all real estate agents use it system. So that's been a fiasco. But real estate has just been really good, but really busy. A lot of new people reaching out. It just turns into meeting up with them maybe one time and then they're not ready. So then I don't hear from them, and I don't really chase people because I'm got other things going on. But it's just been a lot of activity. I had one escrow that fell out of escrow because there was an inspection issue, and that's the inspection I've got to go to right now. We got them into a new escrow. They are so awesome. I am so thankful for all the clients that I get to work with because they're all just so great. And but it's escrows are stressful. And as an agent, your job is to manage a lot of moving parts and keep everyone somewhat sane. And that's hard because you've got sometimes other agents who are upset. You're sometimes frustrated. Your clients are going to be frustrated and scared. And so there's just, it's a roller coaster ride. And I'm so thankful to have gotten into it because it gets me out of my house. Like I'm dressed. I've got to put some cute little heels on, but jeans and, a blouse, and I get my hair ready and I get to go and be out in the world. And, I think I didn't realize how much I missed that. As a full-time work at home person, just doing reselling in YouTube, I didn't realize how much I missed and craved being around people. But with people comes complexity and stress and all of that. So I'm really hopeful. One of my buyers needs to find something very soon. And they're moving from across the country. So we're currently doing virtual showings, which is fine. I'm capable of doing that. But, it's hard because you're like kind of their eyes and their understanding of an area. And they did come out here once, so I've met them in person once, but that's where we're at. I have, hopefully, these current 2 escrows will be done in a month. And, those commission checks are going to taxes and 401k or my self-employed IRA. And I do need to get a roof still. So hopefully I can get a couple more offers accepted soon so I can, have that to pay for that. And then hopefully a couple more by the end of the year that'll just go to more taxes and SEP IRA. So kind of boring. I don't think this is going to be my year of taking some adventurous trip because I just really need to get the roof done. I really need to make sure I'm constantly putting money towards taxes and SEP IRA. And I got the air conditioner this year. I've gotten a lot done with the real estate money so far, but hopefully next year I will take some money from real estate and go on a trip because I think at this point I could really use a vacation, like a real vacation, not just a weekend away. So on that note, I have actually been pretty social with friends, and I guess this is like a soft mention. I see sometimes people say this. Started hanging out with someone who is pretty great. And so that's one aspect that's been good. And also just that nervousness of I don't want to share too much because I have gone through that before. And it's just really hard if it doesn't work out. So this is a soft mention of I've been spending time with someone, and he may or may not at some point down the road make an appearance. He's definitely, I don't think he's ever been into a thrift store. So, and he actually doesn't know much about my work life on YouTube, which is refreshingly nice. Like he just doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't care about me and what I do. It's that he's not like, oh, that's so cool. It's just, I am very happy with that he's not mesmerized by it, because I've met those people and they think it's so cool, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel, or I did try and start a YouTube channel. And I think, and you just meet those people that just think it's a little too cool. And it's like, this is just part of my job. And then I also like the reselling, I don't really want someone to join me with that life, like I want breaks and stuff. So anyways, I would not hold your breath on him making any appearances here anytime in the near future, but maybe in a few months. I think last time I introduced someone on this channel, I waited 3 months and I was like, that's rock solid. That's a great amount of time. And then I think after that experience, I was like, I think I'm gonna wait 6 months the next time. But my new theory is if he hasn't met my family, he's not making an appearance here. So, and there's no plans on introducing him to family because I mean, you just gotta enjoy the beginning. Also, I'm very busy and he's busy. So it's it's been a very nice, slow paced, enjoyable time. And hopefully it'll stay that way for a little bit because yeah, but that's been nice. Just because it's hard to meet interesting people as an adult, to be friends or more than friends. It's hard. So, but I know you guys seem to like those updates. So there's my soft mention. And that's all you get now. Okay, what else? So I've been hanging out with other friends, which has been great. And summer here, we have a lot of festivals and stuff like that. And it's funny because up until this year, I was always like, I want groups of friends to go do this fun stuff with and go to these festivals. And like festivals, like we have an apple festival, we have a mountain festival. I think mountain festival is next weekend. We've got farmers market that's like, downtown. We've got all the wineries have things, the breweries have things. And while I have done some of those things with friends in the past, a lot of my friends moved, and also we had COVID for, a big chunk of when I was living here. So it wasn't normal. And now things are normal for the most part on like the social side. And I have friends to choose from that might want to go do some of this fun stuff. And now I am a hermit because I don't want to go out there and run into real estate people. Because real estate people are the social butterflies. They're the ones that go to all these events. And it's not that these people are bad by any means, but I have unfortunately created a little bit of a dynamic that's uncomfortable because they don't know me, any of them, because I don't go to any of the real estate like social stuff in town. And they have heard of me because I get in these transactions. Some of them try YouTube. Some of them try social media in various forms, and they don't understand. They don't understand, how am I getting these numbers of views, of subscribers? How am I getting buyers from this? They don't understand. And it's not like I'm out there disclosing. I'm not hiding. They can search for me. But I'm not hiding or disclosing that's not my first YouTube rodeo game. So running into people in town, it has caused some severe anxiety for me because there's just been awkward run-ins of like, oh, I've seen your YouTube. And this isn't even just real estate agents. This is just people in town. I mean, I was at a thrift store in my small little town, and one of the women was like, I love your videos. Well, then she got recommended my camping channel. And now every time I go in that thrift store, which is maybe like once every month or two, every time I go in there, I'm like, please don't be here. Please don't be here. Not because she's bad, but because then it's this awkward conversation of, she was telling me, you can't go camping by yourself, and there's scary men out there. She's telling me all about my life. And so my safety net of being in a small town and kind of being invisible has changed. And I'm not complaining. It's the life I built, and I have to find ways to accept that. But it is awkward. And I think I'm a pretty normal person. I think I'm pretty similar to how you see me here. Like I'm not all smiles. I'm not just like toxic positivity. I'm real and I'm honest, and I try to do the right thing, and I try to share when I've made mistakes. And this goes with everything. But it even though I'm the same person in person and I'm not worried about like anything of that nature, it's still just a little awkward when you get just stared at when you're just living your everyday life. So moral of the story, this is the first year that I finally have friends where I can go and do all of this fun stuff in my community. And now I am like severe anxiety, don't want to go because I don't want to have a whole bunch of awkward run-ins. And that's where we're at. So I have just been, keeping things low key. I've still been going out and doing some fun stuff, just nothing like trying to find the quiet nights and not the big events, and, minimizing the risk factor. Like one of the little dates that we went on was to a bowling alley here. huge bowling alley. It was built like 6 months ago. This town doesn't have much to do, especially for kids. So it's got like a bar section, it's got a restaurant section, it's got games, it's got a music area, and then it's got a bowling alley. So it's this huge space. And he picked it, and I was just in my head going, this is my worst nightmare. It was a lot of people. It was a Saturday night at 7, like at a bowling alley with kids and parents and families and just all the people, like half the town in one place. And I almost had a panic attack. But I survived. I mean, once you just kind of try and block out everything going on. But it was funny because someone sent me a text and was like, hey, were you at the bowling alley? Were you at the bowling alley the other night? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just, so that's where we're at. So I'm not going to be doing any of the big festivals, but I do have some fun stuff planned in the next couple months with some friends. And one of them is a hat bar. I'm not a cowboy person. I don't listen to country music, but this town is rural, and so there's a lot of that. But there's a hat bar where you can decorate your own cowboy hat. It's at one of our cute little stores. So I'm doing that with some girls. We're going to sip some wine and make cowboy hats, and it's going to be so much fun. So that's basically it. Personal update. Dogs are alive. And I'll go show them to you now. But be sure to hit the thumbs up. Check out Earth Breeze down below. And I'll be back with another video soon. Bye. Come here. No.